High-profile trial of George Zimmerman, again standing accused of killing 17-year-old Trayvon Martin, the lead investigator in the case, a key witness for both sides, taking the stand today for his second day of testimony. Now, and ABC's Matt Gutman is in Sanford, Florida, with the very latest. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning, Josh. It was a pivotal day in court. That witness that you mentioned, George Serino, he was the lead investigator recommending manslaughter charges against George Zimmerman. But in court, he told the jury that he thought Zimmerman was being truthful. Now, jurors also spent hours listening to the audio and videotapes of the man whose fate they are about to decide.
It was George Zimmerman's day to testify.
And he kept punching me.
Only he didn't even have to take the stand. Instead, the prosecution rolling out 5 versions of his story, a statement and interrogations at the police department, then this reenactment.
When he was hitting my head against it, felt like my head was going to explode.
To the lead homicide investigator, Chris Serino, seen here as he walks with Zimmerman through the recreation of that deadly encounter with Trayvon Martin, all of those versions remarkably consistent.
Either he was telling the truth or he was a complete pathological liar.
Joe, is there anything else in this case where you got the insight that he might be a pathological liar?
No.
A possible fatal blow to the prosecution.
The investigators have said, I think he was telling the truth. How do you overcome that? George Zimmerman just testified thanks to the state and now doesn't have to take the witness stand to be challenged.
And Zimmerman's claim of self-defense, at times jarring, describing that fatal moment.
As he banged my head again, I just pulled out my firearm and shot him.
It's 25th witness Chris Serino, a star prosecution witness, appearing to shine for the defense.
You had fairly specific evidence that Mr. Zimmerman was acting in self-defense that night, correct?
I had information that would have supported that, yes, sir.
Serino even admitting he buckled under the pressure to make an arrest.
You were also under quite a deal of pressure to get this case moved forward, correct?
Yes, I was.
But while it seemed to lose the round, the prosecution did score a few points.
Had you told this child that you were neighborhood watch and you were just wondering what the hell he was doing when he came up to your car, we probably wouldn't be here right now.
Now, we expect Serino to be back on the stand later this morning. The person who we expect not to see again is the person who likely knows exactly what happened that night. That's George Zimmerman. Analysts are telling us he's unlikely to do any better telling his story than those audio and videotapes that those jurors saw yesterday. Josh.
Matt Gutman, thank you for that. We want to turn now to ABC's chief legal affairs anchor, Dan Abrams, who is also in Sanford, Florida, obviously covering this trial. And Dan, I do want to ask you again about this star witness. It turns out for both sides, the prosecution had Zimmerman's various accounts played in court. And once again, a prosecution witness seems to have helped the defense. What did it do to the prosecution's case?
Well, the purpose of introducing all of these statements was to show inconsistencies. And there are some. For example, were there bushes there that Trayvon Martin could have come out of? Why did he mention the bushes one time and not another time? Exactly what did Trayvon Martin say at the time? But when you look at the big picture, the statements are strikingly consistent about what happened that night. And you see that Mark O'Mara keeps bringing up one interesting point, and that is that George Zimmerman would not have known that the video surveillance system in the community wasn't working. Why is that important? Well, of course, if it had been working, it would have been able to either support or disprove exactly what Zimmerman was saying that night and the day after.
Dan, I want to ask you about Chris Serino again, the lead investigator, testified yesterday, back on the stand today. Could he still help the prosecution's case?
Well, this is now the cross-examination of Serino, so it's hard to figure out exactly how he's suddenly going to change and help the prosecution's case. I mean, look, parts of what he say are helpful. The problem is that when you look at the big picture and you look at him in conjunction with the other witnesses who've testified, he does seem to help the defense more than he does the prosecution.